Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. Today we're going to be looking at a bunch of articles dealing with Anthem, Bioware's new, or rather now defunct, hope for a new franchise. But the game died, killing that hope, and we'll start off with this article first. Anthem developer leaves Bioware after 14 years, ignites more speculation of trouble to come. Anthem continues its reign of terror as the reviled title claims another victim from developer Bioware. Chad Robertson becomes the second lead following Ben Ivin's departure earlier in the year, both coming after Anthem flopped critically and commercially. Out the gates, though the troubled game still has a waning support system, Robertson's exit from Bioware might mean the game is in dire straits. Robertson served as the chief developer of live services, essentially making him the most important person involved with the title, with several measures made in a desperate attempt to salvage the game. Measures such as making the game free for EA Access users. Robertson and his team was enabled to make Anthem the franchise EA was hoping it would become. Here's a tweet from Chad Robertson. This is my last week with Bioware. I've been with the company for 14 years and am grateful for everything I've been a part of here. Anthem, the Austin studio, and Bioware are in good hands. You can expect great things ahead. Jeremy from The Quartering made a comment on what Chad Robertson said, because Bioware, in his opinion, has been in absolutely horrible hands. Or rather, he said something to that effect, and I have to agree with Jeremy here. Bioware hasn't made anything financially viable for the last few years, or the past decade. In a classy tweet, Robertson was grateful for his 14 years of service and let all fans know that there was no ill will ahead of his departure. Reddit users are not as optimistic, poking light at the idea that Bioware was in good hands. Reddit user New Contortionist said, "I like how he says Bioware is in good hands. Their recent track record says otherwise." As you can see, other people are also saying the same things Jeremy did. Bioware has been under fire for nearly half a decade after substandard entries in its key franchises, while Dragon Age has seen better days since the release of its first and awful sequel. Mass Effect has yet to recover from Andromeda, and Anthem's shockwaves continue to be felt. If nothing else, Star Wars The Old Republic remains active and has been a bright spot on an otherwise desolate landscape. Here's part of another article I thought had important information to know. Anthem lead producer Ben Irving also left Bioware in August, around the time Anthem's 1.3 patch update finally delivered the promised Cataclysm endgame content. That was after Bioware reorganized its plans to deliver add-ons as narrative acts in favor of seasonal updates and overall balancing and tuning. Probably the biggest sign of EA's expectations of Anthem, or lack thereof, came when the game was added to the library of free titles in EA Access back in September, and in a conference call with investors on Tuesday, EA's top executives had little to say about their expectations for Anthem or Bioware, other than a Dragon Age sequel will probably come after the company's 2022 fiscal year, which begins April 2021. Coming into 2019, Anthem had been looked to as a tentpole product supporting EA's software as a service focus for Bioware. It was also seen as a critical rebound from a lackluster Mass Effect Andromeda that launched in March 2017 and saw post-launch support end 5 months later, along with the closure of the Montreal studio that made it. And here's the last article we're going to be looking at. Sources: Bioware plans a complete overhaul for Anthem. Recent silence and a couple of high-profile departures from Bioware have led fans and pundits to speculate that the studio has abandoned its most recent game, Anthem. But the opposite is true. For the last few months, Bioware and parent company EA have been planning to an overhaul of the online shooter. According to 3 people familiar with those plans, some call it Anthem 2.0 or Anthem Next. Many of the details are still in flux, and there's no clear timeline for the Anthem Next project just yet. In fact, from what I've heard, the developers at Bioware haven't even decided how it'll be distributed. They're still figuring out whether updates should be released at all once or over an extended period of time. Anthem could be overhauled through a series of updates, a la No Man's Sky. It could get a game-changing expansion like Destiny's critically acclaimed Taken King Most of Anthem's biggest systems, its mission structure, its loot, its world will change drastically, but the developers have not yet figured out exactly what that will look like. They've even considered releasing Anthem next as a brand new game, although those who work on the project said that could take a lot of forms and it's unlikely they'll charge full price of Anthem's players. I have to agree with what others said about this. They shouldn't charge anything. They should give it free away to Anthem's players because they're the ones actually playing the game. But no, they'll probably charge you more for a game you already paid $60 for as well. The one thing that's for sure is that Bioware has not abandoned Anthem. It sure sounds like it has. Despite recent breathless declarations that the game is dead, there are a few better ways to get views on YouTube than declaring Anthem to be dead. Right now, dozens if not hundreds of developers at both Bioware's offices in Austin, Texas and Edmonton, Alberta, Canada are quietly working on plans to overhaul the game. We spent a few months just tearing it down and figuring out what needed to change fundamentally. A lot, said one person on the project, and we've been rebuilding for another few months. A representative of EA declined to comment on the story. Anthem, which launched in February 2019, was a big change for Bioware. The studio made its name on heavy role-playing games like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, so fans were surprised when they saw Bioware trying to take on the likes of Destiny with an online shooter. Thanks to a massive development process plagued with technical issues, vision struggles, and many other stresses, the game flopped. It was a buggy, tedious, and lacking the long-term appeal of its competitors. In the coming months, Bioware would delay Anthem's Endgame Cataclysm event, and on September 17th, the developers said they were moving away from previously announced update plans in favor of long-term fixes. We hear your concerns on core issues in Anthem and are acting on it, wrote Bioware head of live services Chad Robertson in a blog post. Those systems require a more thorough review and reworking versus quick fixes. We've got a team working on that now, and early results are promising. Now, I'm going to read through the more important parts of this article because I feel most of it's just fluff. But I will go over the fact that, Chad Robertson did quit as well as Ben Irving, and that, a Forbes reporter, Paul Tassi, wrote, "I no longer really care about hearing about future plans for Anthem because I simply cannot imagine they will be anything beyond the bare minimum of keeping the game alive on life support, if that," and that's quite true. But the reality is that Bioware is still putting a lot of work into Anthem. Details on Anthem Next are hazy, but among other things, the game's developers plan to overhaul the loot, the quest, the social aspects of the game, the difficulty, the progression system, and the world map. One person on the project said they're planning to change the game's entire structure. Right now, the entire world of Anthem is set on a single contiguous map. Separating the map into segments will allow developers to tweak and play around with those segments without worrying that they might create bugs and glitches all across the world. We're also looking at breaking up the need to go back to Fort Tashius after every mission, said the person, and what a mission technically is, that was always a weird disconnect. We're trying to integrate the disparate parts of the game together. As you can see, no matter what Bioware says, they're basically just abandoning Anthem. And basically, they're just going to create a new game and charge the players who are already playing the game maybe $20 or even $60 more just so that they can play this, Anthem Next game they're going to put out. They're basically just abandoning the players they already have on Anthem and basically try and get them to go on to this new game they're creating that will probably have some of the same characters and settings from Anthem in it, but will basically be just an entirely new game. As you can see, they're just basically have the game on life support, much like what Paul Tassi has said. And those two guys, Chad Robertson and Ben Irving, they left probably because they wanted to save face and probably because EA or Bioware were just going to outright fire them for their failures with Anthem. They left because they can, look for better prospects in the future to get back into the gaming industry. And this way they can just look like they just left and that everything is all right and they're still good guys you can hire to make games for your company in the future. So don't believe Bioware's claims. This is all just spin and word salad to make people think everything is all right and that Anthem will still be supported in the future, when in reality they're just going to charge players who already bought the game more money and that they are just basically releasing a new game creating everything from the ground up again, because the original Anthem was apparently released with basically only half of its lore created for it, and they thought they could get away with it and that people would still love it, even though the game didn't have that much in it. So this is what happened. The game failed on launch. 2 guys who were developing it lost their jobs and basically had to leave just to save face. And EA and Bioware have this turkey that they have now, and they're still trying to make excuses and trying to make this franchise work in any way possible. And most likely they're just going to fail and scrap everything about it and try to forget it in the future. Now, if you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people, so make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you have not subscribed, please subscribe to me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Then go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And could you please share this video? Share it on Twitter and share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it would do the most good, because YouTube is not promoting their YouTube creators anymore, and it would really help me if you could please share this video. It's plug-in time. Keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.